Hi there, Rabbi. And it's a beautiful morning outside, despite the air of
Yeah.
unrest that is taking place in this country as of several days ago. Looking at all the political cartoons that are being published right now about the Charlie Kirk assassination, and you get an interesting clue when somebody talks to you about it, the Charlie Kirk killing or the Charlie Kirk assassination. Um, all the cartoons seem to be preaching to the choir already, which is they're taking one side or the other, meaning that only the people who agree with you will like your cartoon, and all the people who don't agree with you will dislike your cartoon. So I created a cartoon that I like because nobody will like it, or nobody will agree with it, or everyone will stop and think about it a little bit.
I I want to focus on the Utah Republican governor, Spencer Cox, because he made a statement on Friday that is germane to what's going on. He started off by saying, I don't want to get too preachy. And in the process of saying that, he said it feels like rage is the only option. We can choose a different path. It's about choice. He laid that out in front. Remember, this was on Friday, and he's continued with this theme. The next sentence he said is the one I want to focus on. Maybe you just hate that I don't hate enough. I think that statement summarizes the anger, the resentment, the polarization in our country. And therein lies the danger of us and them, of death threats, as if that's the only option. The Talmud has a really neat discussion in fact, the Talmud, Joe, people are mistaken. It's not Jewish law. The Talmud is the class notes of the rabbis discussing Mishnah, different laws, rules, and regulations. So there's always two sides. Every discussion has two sides. And during one of the most heated debates, when the two different schools of thinkers were going after each other, a voice came down from heaven and said, both these and those are the words of the living God. What a great statement. Both sides are needed in order to come to the middle and reach a conclusion. What a powerful statement. Just like when the governor said, what, there's not enough hate, and that's why you hate? You want more hate going on? So the Talmud itself said both sides are needed. We have to listen to both sides. What we have to pull out of it is what the governor of Utah said is the violence, the rage, the threats, and the hate. We also have to pull out the contempt that and that's what you were saying about the cartoons. People are taking sides, condemning each side, and making each side the villain. I want to, now the governor of Utah has said some other things about content, about what Charlie Kirk said, and I'm not supporting the content. I want to make that very clear. I'm supporting we need everyone in the public forum, but we don't need those that want to use hate and violence to get their opinion and views across. And that's what God said in the Talmud. God said, this and this. Let's put our opinions out there. But it has to come from respect, from realizing that each of us is created B'Tselem Elohim in God's image. We have to practice the teachings of our faith. Where did Jesus ever say, if someone strikes you, waste them with your 9mm? I'm not saying you have to turn the other cheek or don't turn the other cheek. What I'm saying is we don't find the violent response in Christianity. We don't really find it in Islam. We don't find it in Judaism. We don't find a violent response in any of making America good again. We have that shared value. Disagree? Let's discuss. Let's have respect for each other, and let's come up with our new position. And this was another thing in the Talmud. Neither extreme is right. That means neither extreme is wrong. We need both, because in the image of God we were created. And that is what I hear. That's what I want to see. Unfortunately, as the governor said, people seem to thrive on the hate and the destruction. And we need to get the message across that it's not about being right or wrong, and it's about recognizing and acknowledging each of us were created in the image of God. Let's listen to each other. And our call is not to change anyone's mind. Let's put everything out there in the public forum. I want to challenge us to pull out the hate and the destruction and the violence, because that won't have a good outcome for any of us.
Yeah, and if you only talk to the people you agree with and they only talk to you, then how are you going to hope to change the minds of people who don't agree with you? And by the same token, if you're shooting at the people who don't agree with you, you're very unlikely to bring them over to your way of thinking, unless it's to shoot back. But I know who I'm not going to take any shots at, Rabbi. I appreciate your wisdom as always. I hope everyone takes a moment to stop and think and not go to their immediate knee-jerk reaction on this.
For those watching and listening, not agreeing or disagreeing with what Charlie said, what anyone else said, what I am saying is we were created in God's image to respect other people's views, and not to think that by shooting, by violence, by beating and threatening, we can diminish the other side and get our point across. Historically, that has led to disaster for everyone.